Hi, this is Russ with Advantage Property Management Services. Today I'm going to talk about two of the most common fears that property owners talk to me about. Those two fears are damage, a tenant damaging the property in more ways than one. Could be from a tenant damage, it could be from pet damage, or whatever. It's damaging the property and costing them money. And the second big fear is extended periods of vacancy, where you're not receiving rent. So we're going to talk about three ways that you can mitigate those risks and minimize the fear that you're feeling about those two issues. Everything with a rental property starts with really high quality tenant screening. If you put a great tenant into the property, the potential for damage is significantly reduced, and they're likely to stay in the property for a long period of time, minimizing your potential for vacancy. So how do you screen? Well, there's three main areas that you want to look at when you're screening a potential tenant. Number one is income. Do they have a reliable source of income that's going to allow them to pay their rent consistently every month? Two is credit. More than just a credit score, you have to look at their credit history. What is their payment patterns? Are they good at paying their bills? And number three is what's their rental history? Do they have a reliable rental history? Have they ever been evicted? Have they ever moved out of a property and left owing money? Those are questions you have to ask. You have to have a really good screening process and make sure you address those three areas and make sure they satisfy you so that you can find that best tenant possible. Number two is mitigating your risk once the tenant moves in. You can do that very easily by visiting the property on a regular basis, at least once per year, maybe twice a year if you want to get really aggressive. Walk through the entire property, open every room, look in at the whole property, identify damage as quickly as possible so it can be addressed. If you're doing it once per year, you get to the property, if you see damage, you can address the issue with the tenant right then and there so that you don't wait 3 or 4 or 5 years, then the tenant moves out and you find out the place is trashed. You don't want that to happen, and just by visiting regularly, you'll minimize that risk. And lastly, with vacancy. Vacancy is very expensive. One of the most expensive parts of vacancy is your lost rent. You need to have a process to turn over properties very quickly. From the time a tenant moves out to the time the property is ready for the next tenant to move in, the shorter the better. Ideally 7 days or less, because every day that passes, you're losing money. So make sure you have your ducks in a row, have your vendor resources lined up, so when a tenant moves out, you can get all the maintenance done that you need to get done so you can get that property rent ready again. If you have any more questions about common fears that property owners have or how to mitigate those risks, feel free to give me a call at Advantage Property Management Services.